when we do our eyelashes, guys, very important. If you're still working on the skin tone, just look up here real quick. I'm going to work with my black pencil and a marker. When we start drawing as kids and we do eyelashes as kiddos, we mostly just do this crap. Anyone who does this for this project, and this is an easy project, you will not get an A on this project. This is not what eyelashes look like. When you get into your conceptual drawings, yeah, you might be able to make that swing, but when we're still looking at observational drawings, we're still trying to duplicate that image. That's not what it looks like. We can subvert it a little bit. We can make it a little bit different, but oh, God help you if you do that, okay? First and foremost, they don't make lines. They're basically check marks. Really quick, thick at the root, tapers to a point. They arch. So depending on where it is in this crosshair, if I've got a crosshair in my eye, anything to the left of this line is arching to the left. Go figure. Eventually you'll start to have some that go straight up. Anything to the right, you guessed it, arches to the right. Below, if you're looking at your reference, especially, it does not start on this line. Your eyelashes really don't start on the line. They start on the fold up top where there's so much shadow. You can get away with starting on this line, but on the bottom, if you start on the line just like you did here, say goodbye to your A. Below the line in that highlight, so remember we have our line, turns into a shadow, folds over, catches the light, turns into another shadow. Your eyelashes start in that highlight, okay? And below, press down hard, tapers to a point. They tend to make these little pyramid shark's teeth. They overlap a little bit more, so they come together a little bit more. You can kind of see that in the reference. You definitely see that in other eyes. They come to a point. There's a little less. Pay attention to your reference. These arch up, almost like a check mark. There's more than 12 of them. Make sure you give him enough eyelashes. You don't have to do as many as Escher gave us. Do several of them. I'm going to start with my black pencil. Okay. We'll eventually use the white pencil, and then we'll use some of our black marker or gray marker. So I've got a crosshair somewhere around here. I know that my eyelashes don't go all the way up here. Heavy-handed. I've got a ton of wax on my paper now, so this isn't going to show up super vivid. If it's showing up like really dark, thick eyelashes, you really don't have enough underneath it. Okay, you want to have a really bold painting underneath before you start adding these. Pick one and overlap. One. So some of them overlap. And maybe over here, they start to arch the other way. Do your best to really pull off quick so that it comes to a point so it doesn't have a really hard line, hard end right there. Vary your pressure. That doesn't change with any of your artwork. The harder you press down, obviously, the darker the mark. They should overlap. Down below, starting in my highlight, they're not super long. They're formulaic. So they come to a point here and there. but not all the time. Sometimes they make S's or X's. They get a little bit thinner and fewer and further between as you get down towards your actual tear duct, okay? I'll do the same thing with the white. I'm not trying to go around anything. I'm going on top of some of the black ones. If you had a knife, you can etch out some of these. The white especially is going to be super subtle. Add a couple of them and you're good. Okay. Eyelashes, pay attention to them. Don't sell yourself short on them. You have to commit to them. My suggestion, maybe practice a little bit on another sheet of paper. Make sure that you can get a good press down hard, flick. Press down hard, flick. Same thing. Flicks, C's, check marks. Avoid solid lines that have a starting point and an ending point at the same line density. Flicking out gives you a really good taper, really naturally. If you want to, you may do the same thing with your markers. This is just going to embellish some of these colors. I'm going to use my black marker on my eyelashes and then a little bit of marker inside of my iris. So just a really cheap marker. Thin. This is probably too old. Don't touch it. If you touch it, it smears, especially on your eyelashes. It will smear out a lot. You don't, and it'll lay down too. So as bold as it looks now, it'll settle down and have a similar wax finish as everything else. On the interior of my eye, I can color in bold with my black, staying in the same direction to the best of my ability. Pay attention to how hard you're pressing down. That makes it a lot more vivid there. If you're doing that on the interior too, do the same thing for your the edge of your iris. Like I've got a blue iris here. Your finger is going to get a little dirty. If I outline here, I want to make sure that this is dry enough. If I kind of color in, outline, bold line, I can take my finger, just make that color a little bit bolder, a lot more unique of a color. It's kind of like adding a glaze to an oil painting. So if I wanted to change up my color a little bit, just makes it a lot bolder. If you feel like your colored pencil especially is not bold enough. I went outside of my line a little bit. I can etch it out or let it dry. If you do go outside your lines, just make sure after you scratch it out, you add another layer of your white or whatever color was underneath. Pay attention to like your lines still going to the center of your pupil. Bold, 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 bold. You can blend this out with your blending stump too if you don't want to get your fingers dirty. But frankly, welcome to an art studio class. You're going to get dirty. If you're worried about that, you should have taken music. A little bit bolder underneath my eyelid. You can drag that down into your highlights. You can drag that down into your yellows to create some natural green occurrences. It just makes it a lot richer of a drawing. Something that a lot of people just don't do, and they can do, they just don't do it. If you don't have your markers, get them. They will certainly help out your colored pencil drawings later on when we get into designing our concepts too. All I'm doing is taking a little bit off of the marker. What's great about the layers of colored pencil that you have underneath, even with something like a marker, it's easy to etch out. And you can do that all over the place if you want. But frankly, I think just a little bit of marker goes a long way to embellish a colored pencil drawing. You don't need to be too heavy-handed adding so many different media, especially if it's your first go-round. Add a glaze to my yellow. Pick a spot. Sign it. When you sign your eyes, doesn't matter where you sign them, everyone's eyes get put up. Sign it in your dominant media. That's what I was always taught. You want to sign it in marker though, by all means, sign it in marker. You know the rule. Pick a spot that does not take away from your image. Pick a color that doesn't take away from your image. Sign it. That way everyone's like, oh, that is a cool looking eye picture. Ball did it. Sign it on the back with your name printed. If you haven't done this yet, do that now because they all start to look the same. Write your name on the back of your eye. And that's what we'll turn in on Friday, okay? Feel like your marker's too bold, take your finger, take a rag, press down on it, creates a stamp. And we're good to go. All right. We're going to workshop these for a few minutes before we get into our surrealism assignment. This is when art starts to get fun.